Hello, friends, and welcome to a new episode of the Soft Skills channel. And today we will talk about a very important topic for managers, which is how do you manage a team where there is a wide variety of skill sets involved. For example, you may have someone on your team who is a new joiner, and at the same time, there is another person on your team who has like 15 years of experience. I've been very fortunate that throughout my career, I've managed situations like this. And there is a very helpful tool that you can utilize to manage these different situations. And in today's video, we will talk about that. My name is Jameel Hye, and I've been working in the corporate sector for the last 19 years. And my passion is to help you build real life skills for your job and career that they don't teach you in college. In order to explain how the tool that I will talk to you about today works, I will use one of the situations from my prior experience where I was managing 4 people. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to disclose the real names of those people, but I will use some imaginary names for privacy. So the first person on my team was Kathy. Kathy was a fresh graduate and this was her first job right out of the college. Then I had Phil, who was working in the production department for the last 2 years, but had recently moved to my department, which was supply chain. So Phil definitely had an understanding of how the company works. He understood the production side, so he had a little bit of an idea on how supply chain worked. But of course, he was not an expert of his new job. Then I had Susan, who was the customer service manager and had been with the company for the last 3 years. Susan was an expert at her job, highly competent, but more recently, I had been observing some performance inconsistencies with her. And finally, I had Roy, who was my systems expert and had been working in that role for the last 15 years and had delivered multiple systems related supply chain projects over time. So the model I used to manage these 4 people is called the situational leadership model. It was developed by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard. Yes, the same Ken Blanchard of the 1 Minute Manager, Well Done, and many other books. I was actually fortunate enough to meet Ken at a learning conference in 2016 in Orlando. I still have this picture with him, and amongst the many things I've learned from his books, one of the most powerful things is this situational leadership model. So let's see how this model works and how I implemented it on my specific situation. So the situational leadership model has 4 different styles. The first style is telling, which is where you are giving one-on-one directions to your direct report and you are closely following and supervising them. As they further grow and develop more experience, then you move to the next style, which is coaching. In coaching, you are not giving them answers to any questions, but you are just facilitating the conversation with them. We will go deeper into each of these styles in a bit. Once your employee gains even more experience and they get even more confident about their performance, then you move to the facilitating style. In this style, you are getting more hands off with them, but you're still supervising and providing some level of coaching. And then finally, style 4 is called delegating. Obviously, as the name suggests, this is a style which I personally call it as almost like the autopilot style. Right? So you're letting your direct report to do most of their things on their own. You are also minimally supervising them, just probably doing some overall check-ins, getting their perspective, and on and off depending on their needs, providing coaching when required. So now let's apply this model to my team. So if you think about Kathy, she's a fresh graduate. This is her first job. She's right out of the college. So in her case, I need to teach her how to do the job. So I will be employing the first style of the situational leadership model, which is the telling style. So basically, I will be giving her directions on all the instructions to do the job. I will be spending more time with her on the what of the job. So for example, one of the things that she was supposed to do was build a spreadsheet. So I had to sit down with her, explain to her how the spreadsheet works, giving her a little bit of training as well on Excel because she was new to formulas and all of that stuff. So spending a lot of time on how to do the job step by step. Because she's new, I also had to provide her close supervision. So we used to have frequent one-on-ones. So I would sit down with her at the end of each day, look at what she has done, give her some feedback on how she can improve further. So really going step by step in terms of giving directions. Now let's talk about Phil. Now Phil, as I said earlier, had already worked in production for a few years, but he is new to supply chain. So he's very confident, he's very passionate about the job, but he's still not 100% technically competent. In this case, I will be using more of the coaching style of leadership. Now, what does coaching really mean? One of the fundamental components of coaching is that as a coach, you will not give away the answers to your coachee. You will ask the questions, but you will expect them to come up with an answer, because we want to instill the confidence in the coachee that they are capable of doing this work. So if you just tell them what to do, like I was doing with Kathy before, it's not going to work with Phil, because Phil is at a point where he probably knows the answers, but he needs some coaching around that. So in this style of leadership, you are talking more about the why instead of the what. What do I mean by that? In the case of Phil, I would be explaining to him why is he doing what he's doing. Because unlike Kathy, where I'm saying like, this is how you insert the formula, this is how you build this spreadsheet. Here in this case, I'm telling him why it's important, what's the implication on the business, and then automatically understands and he's able to join the dots because he is in a different stage of development. And then let's talk about Susan. Now, Susan, like we said earlier, is an experienced person. She already has 3 years of experience. She has been a remarkable performer over the past 3 years as well. However, more recently, I've been observing some performance inconsistencies. So in this case, I would adapt style 3, or the facilitating style of leadership. So what is facilitating style of leadership? In this case, you are facilitating a conversation. So in this case, like for instance, I'm seeing that, hey, Susan's performance is normally very good, but she's been a bit inconsistent over the last few months. So I would facilitate a conversation with her, because maybe there is something going on with her personally. Maybe there is something which is keeping her disengaged. Maybe she wants to apply for a different job. So I would just try to facilitate a conversation with her so that I can get to the root cause of the problem and understand why she's performing the way she is right now. An important component of this style of leadership is that now you are focusing more on the relationship aspect than the job itself, right? So remember, like, we are moving through the spectrum. In case of Kathy, there was a lot of focus on the what of the job, specifics, details, technical stuff. But now in the case of Susan, I am using less of that style, but I'm trying to build a relationship with her just to understand what's going on, because as a manager, it's very important for me to know what are the drivers of her performance, because only then I can help her and coach her in the right direction. In this style, you are instilling a lot of confidence in your direct report, because they can do the job. It's just a few things here and there which you need to performance manage, and then things should be back on track. And then finally, we move to Roy. 15 years of experience, multiple projects delivered. So he is definitely in that fourth quadrant, which is the delegating style of leadership. He probably knows technically way more than I know. So this is the time when I would back off from the technical side completely. And that's why I called this style the autopilot style before. In this case, you are delegating both the task and the authority. And you are actually creating an environment where you are letting this person lead and you are really getting out of the way. Because in this case, if I tried to micromanage Roy, he would actually be disengaged rather than engaged, because he doesn't like people to tell him exactly what to do. He has been doing that job forever. So as a manager, I just need to ensure that he has my support and I trust in him. I've got the confidence in him to do the job, and then let him do the job, because if there is a technical issue, he's going to resolve it himself. And most likely in this case, where he would need help is with the people aspect of things. If he's unable to get something done, or he wants to escalate, or somebody's not listening to him, only then he might involve me if required, and then I would decide based on the situation if I want to step in or not. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have got questions about this topic or any of the other content that we post on this channel, please reach out to me on social media, and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Keep watching.